The journey to wealth begins with the mastery of thought. Every idea you allow to take root in your mind becomes a seed with the potential to grow into action. If your mind is filled with doubt, limitation, and fear, then you will unconsciously create a life that reflects those emotions. But if your thoughts are disciplined, constructive, and focused on growth, then the path ahead opens wide. The first rule of self-mastery is learning to govern the mind, to reject the unproductive, and to nurture the thoughts that serve your purpose. To become rich in any form, materially, mentally, or spiritually, you must know exactly what you want. Vague hopes lead to vague outcomes. The power of a definite chief aim lies in its clarity. Once you decide what your mission is, your mind begins to filter your reality to help you accomplish it. The world adjusts itself around strong intention. Without this inner compass, you will drift. With it, you become unstoppable. Write your goal clearly, see it often, and remind yourself daily of its importance. Discipline is the muscle that turns dreams into achievements. Every person who has ever acquired lasting wealth developed the power to act consistently, even when motivation was absent. Self-mastery demands that you do not wait on mood or convenience to take action. You must define You must define it. You must defy it. You must define it. You must define it. You must define it. You must define it. You must, instead, you work with method, routine, and structure. When you practice control over your habits, you form a life that is built on direction rather than distraction. In that daily discipline lies the compound interest of success. A rich life cannot grow out of emotional chaos. Mastering your feelings does not mean ignoring them. It means learning to recognize, understand, and redirect them. Fear can be turned into focus. Frustration can become fuel. Jealousy can be transformed into inspiration. The individual who responds to life with calm strength gains power over both themselves and others. Wealth flows to those who have mastered their inner state, because people trust what is steady and are drawn to what is grounded. The difference between those who finish the race and those who quit is almost always persistence. Talent, luck, and timing matter, but they are no match for someone who refuses to stop. The habit of never giving up, even when progress seems invisible, builds character and momentum. Success reveals itself to those who keep going when others would stop. Each setback, each failure is not a wall, but a lesson. And those who persist turn those lessons into stepping stones. Environment plays a larger role in self-mastery than most people admit. Surround yourself with those who are also committed to growth, and you will rise with them. Allow yourself to be shaped by negative, aimless, or envious people, and your progress will decay. Self-mastery involves protecting your space, your time, and your mind. Evaluate your influences with care. Books, conversations, media, habits, and choose only what lifts you toward the person you aim to become. The person you aim to become. Finally, act as though your success is already forming around you. Think, walk, speak, and decide from the place of already being the individual you strive to be. Gratitude for what is coming creates a powerful magnetic force in your life. Speak affirmations, not as wishes, but as declarations. Behave in alignment with the life you are building, and you will naturally attract it. In mastering the self, you master the laws of achievement. In depression, wealth is the result, not the goal, of becoming the person who deserves it. To become rich in any area of life, the first step is to decide exactly what you want. There is no power in vague intentions. A man who says he wants to be successful but cannot define what success looks like is like a ship without a compass, adrift, directionless, and at the mercy of external winds. The mind responds with incredible force to a clearly defined purpose. When you set a definite chief aim, you give yourself a fixed target. You begin to see opportunities, ideas, and people that align with that aim because your focus is now tuned. This clarity acts like a magnet, drawing into your life the circumstances required to fulfill it. Once your aim is clear, it must live in your mind every day. You must see it, feel it, and speak it into existence through thought and action. Once your aim cannot be escaped, you must test it by a purpose held only occasionally will never have the strength to influence your behavior. But a purpose repeated and reaffirmed daily becomes a dominating desire, shaping your actions, reactions, and habits. It is not enough to write your aim once and forget it. You must make it part of your mental environment. It must live in your heart with such force that no obstacle can stand in its way. A definite chief aim separates the dreamer from the doer. When you know what you want, you begin to demand results from yourself. You waste less time, avoid distractions, and filter your decisions through a single question. Does this bring me closer to my aim? This sense of direction makes you more productive, more confident, and more resistant to setbacks. Without a definite aim, every obstacle becomes a reason to quit. With one, every obstacle becomes a test to be passed on the way to your goal. Your definite purpose must not be borrowed from someone else's vision. It must come from within. Only you know what sets your soul on fire. Some may desire wealth in the form of money, others in influence, freedom, or contribution. What matters is that the aim is yours, true to your nature and rooted in your deepest values. When your goal reflects your inner truth, you will find in yourself an unstoppable drive to achieve it. No force outside of you can match the power that comes from a goal that resonates within. A powerful aim also brings order to your thoughts. Instead of being pulled in 100 directions, your energy is concentrated. You no longer chase every opportunity or follow every distraction. You become more strategic, more focused, more determined. People around you begin to notice this clarity, and many will offer support, resources, or collaboration because clarity inspires trust. You are no longer just another dreamer. You are someone on a mission. The stronger your connection to your definite chief aim, the more resilient you become. Challenges no longer deter you. They refine you. Delays become lessons. Failures become feedback. The aim gives you perspective, reminding you that temporary discomfort is part of the path. This resilience, born from a meaningful goal, becomes one of your greatest assets. In the face of adversity, you will stand firm while others retreat. You continue moving forward because the destination matters more than the pain along the way. Ultimately, a definite chief aim transforms who you are. It sharpens your mind, strengthens your will, and purifies your actions. It brings out qualities you didn't know you had: courage, patience, determination, and faith. The richness you seek in the world begins as richness within. When you build a life around a definite aim, you are no longer waiting for success. You are creating it. You are no longer at the mercy of chance. You are commanding your future. And that is the beginning of true wealth. Discipline is the unseen bridge that connects desire with wealth. Many people possess dreams of abundance, of success, and of freedom, but few develop the structure required to transform those dreams into reality. Desire is the beginning, the spark that ignites ambition, but without disciplined action, it remains only a fleeting emotion. True wealth is reserved for those who can persist through boredom, fatigue, and doubt. Those who can continue forward long after the excitement of the goal has faded. When you develop discipline, you gain power over your impulses. You learn to do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not. The wealthy understand this truth deeply. They do not wait for inspiration or the perfect mood to take action. They train themselves to act consistently and purposefully, even when distractions call, when comfort tempts, or when fear whispers in their ear. This ability to act in spite of emotion is what separates those who achieve from those who remain stuck in potential. Discipline builds momentum. A single day of focused action leads to a week of progress. A week becomes a month, and a month becomes a lifestyle. The person who disciplines themselves begins to accumulate small wins, and over time these wins grow into massive results. This compounding effect is not visible in the beginning, but those who stay the course come to experience exponential rewards. The disciplined individual earns what the undisciplined only wish for. Every act of discipline is an investment in your future self. Waking early, staying committed to your plan, resisting temporary pleasures. These acts strengthen your will. With each choice, you reinforce your identity as someone who is in control, someone who is dependable, someone who can be trusted with great responsibility. Wealth flows to those who are ready for it, and discipline is the preparation that builds that readiness. Discipline also brings clarity. When your actions are intentional, your mind becomes sharper. You waste less time, you make faster decisions, and you begin to recognize what truly matters. Discipline filters your environment and protects your energy. It teaches you to say no to what does not serve your vision. In doing so, you create space for what does. The undisciplined scatter their attention. The disciplined focus it like a laser. The road to wealth is often lonely, filled with delayed gratification and sacrifice. It is discipline that sustains you when results are not yet visible. It is discipline that reminds you that process must come before payoff. While others abandon their plans at the first sign of difficulty, the disciplined continue, not because it is easy, but because they have made a decision to follow through. That decision is renewed each day, not with emotion, but with commitment. Discipline is not something you are born with. It is something you develop. Like a muscle, it grows stronger with use and weaker with neglect. Begin with one small promise to yourself. Keep it, then make another. Over time, your life will begin to take the shape of your standards, and those standards, once raised through discipline, will carry you to heights you never thought possible. Wealth begins where excuses end, and that point is only reached through the discipline of the self. Emotions are powerful forces that shape the direction of our thoughts, decisions, and actions. Left unchecked, they can lead us into chaos and self-destruction. But when properly understood and directed, emotions become tools that drive us toward purpose and prosperity. The ability to master your emotional responses is not a trait reserved for the few. It is a skill that anyone can develop. And in the pursuit of wealth and success, it is one of the most valuable skills you can possess. Fear, anger, doubt, jealousy, and frustration are not inherently destructive. These emotions simply reflect the state of our inner world and the meaning we attach to events. Emotional mastery means you do not allow these states to overpower your thinking or paralyze your action. You become the observer rather than the victim. By separating yourself from impulsive reactions, you gain the freedom to respond in ways that serve your highest goals, rather than react in ways that sabotage them. When you choose calm over anger, courage over fear, and confidence over doubt, you become magnetic. People are drawn to those who are composed under pressure. They trust those who do not panic when others crumble. Emotional steadiness becomes a form of leadership, a silent signal that you are in command of yourself and your life. In a world full of emotional instability, those who remain steady attract opportunities, influence, and trust. Self-mastery over emotions also creates mental clarity. When your mind is clouded by anxiety or resentment, your ability to think strategically disappears. Decisions made in a storm are rarely wise. But when you develop the ability to breathe, pause, and see the situation clearly, you make better choices. Choices that compound in your favor. Mental clarity in moments of stress is a rare asset, and those who possess it gain a significant advantage in business and in life. Your emotional state also determines your level of energy. When you live in gratitude, joy, confidence, and purpose, your energy rises. You become more productive, more resilient, and more focused. But when you remain trapped in fear, bitterness, or guilt, your energy leaks away. Emotional mastery, then, is not just about avoiding negativity. It's about intentionally cultivating emotional states that empower you to take consistent, high-level action. This mastery requires practice. It is not achieved in a single moment of decision, but through daily effort and awareness. You must catch yourself in moments of emotional reactivity and replace old patterns with intentional responses. This might mean stepping away, reframing a problem, breathing deeply, or focusing on a solution rather than the setback. Over time, these practices build a foundation of emotional strength that nothing outside of you can shake. Ultimately, those who master their emotions master their lives. They are no longer ruled by the noise of the world or the instability of others. They live from the inside out, guided by purpose rather than pulled by circumstance. Wealth, influence, and peace are natural results of this mastery. For when a person governs their emotions, they are prepared to govern much more, including the riches and responsibilities that life will inevitably offer. Persistence is the trait that distinguishes the person who finishes from the one who gives up midway. It is not talent or intelligence alone that leads to success, but the refusal to stop, no matter how many failures or rejections one encounters. The person who holds on a little longer, who tries once more when others walk away, eventually reaches the summit while others are still circling the base. Wealth does not come to those who try once or twice and quit. It comes to those who keep going until the goal is theirs. Each time you persist through a challenge, you strengthen your willpower. It becomes easier to face the next difficulty because you have already proven to yourself that quitting is not an option. Persistence is not about being perfect or never falling. It is about getting back up every time you do. Every failure becomes a lesson. Every setback becomes a stepping stone. The longer you hold your ground, the more experienced, focused, and resilient you become. Those who lack persistence are often swayed by their current circumstances. If things become difficult, they retreat. If success takes longer than expected, they doubt. But the persistent mind does not wait for ideal conditions. It keeps moving regardless of what appears in the moment. It keeps faith in the outcome, even when the results are invisible. That kind of faith, paired with continued action, eventually breaks down the strongest resistance. Persistence transforms time into an ally. Most people overestimate what they can accomplish in a day and underestimate what they can achieve in a year. The person who works with consistent effort, even in small daily doses, accomplishes more than the one who works in intense but short bursts. Small daily actions compounded over months and years create massive change. This is where true wealth is built, not in flashes of effort, but in steady, reliable commitment. Often, success is closer than it seems at the moment when most are ready to give up. The breakthrough may lie just beyond the next obstacle, just past the point where fatigue convinces others to turn back. Many fortunes have been missed, not because people were unqualified, but because they quit too soon. Persistence keeps you in the game long enough for luck, opportunity, or timing to work in your favor. Persistence is not blind stubbornness. It is intelligent, flexible determination. When something isn't working, persistence means adjusting your strategy, not abandoning your goal. It means learning from mistakes, seeking better methods, and constantly evolving without ever losing sight of the destination. This balance of persistence and adaptability is what creates lasting success and wealth that endures. In the end, persistence builds character. It sharpens discipline, deepens confidence, and builds an unshakable belief in oneself. The habit of never giving up becomes a part of who you are. And once it is established, it influences every area of your life. Whether it's business, relationships, health, or personal growth, the person who persists will always move further than the one who gives up. Wealth follows those who are determined enough to keep going until they arrive. Your environment shapes your beliefs, your behavior, and ultimately your future. It is impossible to rise to your full potential while surrounded by influences that drain your energy, cloud your vision, or limit your ambition. Every conversation, every relationship, and every piece of information you consume is either helping you grow or holding you back. To master yourself and achieve wealth, you must become intensely selective about what and who you allow into your environment. The people around you reflect back to you what is possible. If you spend your time with those who complain, doubt, and make excuses, you will eventually adopt the same mindset. Their low expectations will begin to feel normal. But when you surround yourself with individuals who think big, speak with purpose, and act with courage, your own standards naturally rise. Their ambition will awaken your own, and their discipline will challenge you to stay committed to your path. You must protect your mental space as fiercely as you would protect a valuable possession. Your friend, ask for help. When you ask for help, make it the content you watch, the books you read, the music you listen to, and the words you speak all form the atmosphere in which your thoughts live. If that atmosphere is toxic, negative, or distracting, it will be difficult to create anything of lasting value. You cannot expect to plant seeds of success in poisoned soil. You must create an environment where success has room to grow. Guarding your environment also means distancing yourself from people who do not support your growth. Not everyone is meant to walk your journey. Some will try to pull you back into comfort or mediocrity simply because your ambition makes them uncomfortable. That does not make them bad people. It simply means they are not aligned with your mission. Letting go of such connections is not cruelty, it is clarity. You cannot carry everyone with you and still move quickly toward your goal. It's also important to intentionally create surroundings that inspire you. Workspaces should be organized, uplifting, and filled with reminders of your goals. Your daily routine should be filled with positive triggers, affirmations, learning materials, and habits that move you forward. Even your physical health affects your environment, as your body is the space in which your mind operates. When your surroundings are aligned with your purpose, every day becomes a step toward success. As you grow and evolve, your environment must evolve too. The friends who once fit may no longer align with your values. The habits that once served you may need to be upgraded. This is not a sign of betrayal, but of progress. Growth requires change, and change demands that you continually refine what you allow to influence you. Always ask yourself, does this relationship, habit, or routine support the person I'm becoming? In the end, your environment is either your anchor or your engine. It will either keep you stuck in cycles of frustration or propel you into new levels of achievement. When you take responsibility for what surrounds you, you take control of what becomes possible for you. Guard your environment with intensity, for it is the foundation upon which self-mastery and wealth are built. Every human being is filled with powerful energy, emotions, desires, impulses, and passions that surge through the mind and body. This energy, if left unchecked, often seeks expression through distraction or indulgence. But those who achieve mastery in life do not waste their energy on fleeting pleasures. Instead, they learn to redirect it toward a definite purpose. This process, known as transmutation, is the art of turning raw emotion into productive power. Desire, especially strong emotional or physical desire, is one of the most potent forces in the human experience. Most people allow this force to control them, leading to decisions based on momentary urges rather than long-term vision. But within that same desire lies a deep source of creativity, focus, and drive. When you choose to direct it toward your goals instead of your impulses, it becomes fuel for achievement rather than a cause of distraction. This is not a matter of suppression, but of transformation. The goal is not to kill passion, but to channel it. The same energy that tempts a person toward laziness, comfort, or waste can be redirected into learning a skill, building a business, or mastering a craft. Every time you feel the pull of emotion, you are given a choice. Let it control you, or use it to strengthen your focus. With enough practice, this choice becomes a habit, and the habit becomes a power. History is filled with examples of men and women who harnessed their emotional energy to fuel greatness. Artists, inventors, entrepreneurs, and leaders all understood how to convert internal fire into external results. They worked tirelessly, often with obsessive dedication, not because they were disciplined from birth, but because they learned how to aim their energy. Their passions became their purpose, and their emotions became instruments of progress. To practice transmutation, you must first become aware of your patterns. Where does your energy go when you're angry, frustrated, lonely, or excited? What do you do with that force? Once you recognize your default reactions, you can begin to interrupt them. Instead of turning to a distraction, turn to your work. Instead of feeding your cravings, feed your vision. The more often you do this, the stronger your will becomes, and the more energy you retain for what truly matters. It is also important to keep your body and mind strong, for energy flows best through a healthy vessel. Daily exercise, proper rest, focused breathing, and mindful routines keep your energy clear and ready for redirection. When your physical system is aligned with your purpose, it becomes easier to resist temptation and remain centered. A strong body supports a strong mind, and a strong mind is essential for self-mastery. Self-balance, self-control, self-promotion, self-confidence, self-promotion, self-confidence, self-promotion, self-confidence, self-promotion, self-consciousness, self-pride, self-esteem, self-consciousness, self-pride, self-esteem, self-pride, self-esteem. Ultimately, the ability to transmute energy into purpose is a mark of maturity and power. It is what allows a person to break free from the patterns that keep others stuck. It is what creates the difference between living a life of reaction and living a life of intention. When you master your energy, you master your destiny. The riches you seek, material or otherwise, are simply waiting for you to rise above the pull of impulse and direct your energy into creation. Accurate thinking is one of the most essential foundations for achieving wealth, success, and self-mastery. It is not enough to think often or to think intensely. What matters most is to think clearly and correctly. The world is filled with opinions, assumptions, and misinformation that constantly seek to influence your choices. Without the ability to separate fact from fiction, you become vulnerable to confusion and poor decisions. Accurate thinking allows you to evaluate reality with precision and respond in a way that leads to results. This kind of thinking begins with the practice of distinguishing between facts and opinions. Facts are based on evidence, observation, and reality. They can be proven and verified. Opinions, on the other hand, are beliefs, guesses, or interpretations that may or may not be true. Accurate thinkers refuse to accept something just because it is popular or frequently repeated. They ask questions, seek proof, and test what they are told before allowing it to shape their decisions. Emotion often clouds judgment, leading people to accept what feels good rather than what is true. Accurate thinking requires emotional discipline. It calls for a calm and rational mind, especially in times of pressure or uncertainty. The person who masters this skill does not jump to conclusions or act on impulse. They take time to gather facts, assess them logically, and then form conclusions that are grounded in reality. This approach leads to sound decisions that compound over time and build success. Accurate thinkers also guard their minds against negative influences. They do not blindly accept the opinions of others, even from people they admire. They understand that every person sees the world through their own lens of experience, and not all advice is useful. Instead, they evaluate advice based on its merit, not its source. This habit of independent thinking strengthens their ability to make decisions that align with their goals and values rather than someone else's expectations. This mental discipline also allows you to spot opportunities others miss. Where the average person sees obstacles or failure, the accurate thinker looks deeper, recognizing patterns, truths, or potential solutions that are hidden to most. This skill becomes particularly valuable in business and wealth building, where the difference between a successful venture and a costly mistake often lies in the accuracy of the initial judgment. Clarity leads to confidence, and confidence leads to decisive action. Accurate thinking must be developed through practice. It comes from reading carefully, listening actively, asking thoughtful questions, and remaining open to changing your mind when new facts emerge. It is not a rigid way of thinking. It is flexible yet firm in its loyalty to truth. It allows you to remain adaptable while staying grounded. This mindset not only enhances your ability to succeed, but also protects you from manipulation and costly errors. In the end, accurate thinking puts you in control of your life. You are no longer led by rumors, trends, or fears. You move through the world with clarity and purpose, making choices that are supported by logic and evidence. You are not useful to yourself. You are here to make the world a better place than ever the world ever could have been. And with that, you make your life better and better. This way of thinking makes you trustworthy, reliable, and effective. It earns respect from others and creates the internal strength needed to face life's challenges. Wealth flows more easily to those who can think clearly, because they know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it well.